They haven't passed the budget. Can you imagine, even in your home, if you don't have a budget, if you have a business, you don't have a budget, how can you go through life with no plan on how to spend your money? Of course you can get yourself in trouble. So what we're saying here, dangerous comment to make, no budget, no pay. You don't pass the budget, Congress, you shouldn't draw pay. Because I think it's a main function to run a government, that you pass the budget. So no pay. Good chance trying to get that one done. But recapture control over the budget. We should have budget controls. Maybe you don't spend more than a certain percent of GDP. Put those things in there. You don't spend more than what you take in. That'd be nice to have. Reform federal budget controls, pay-go rules, debt to GDP targets. I kind of just mentioned all of those. They all fit in together. Put controls in place so you don't spend more than your budget, so that there's a penalty for people that go over the budget. I know in our state, I told them at one time that I thought there should be a felony if directors spent more than what their budget was. I had no chance of getting that passed. And I said, look, I've come a long way. I thought it should have been the death penalty. So, I thought, just a felony is pretty good. But if I give you $100 million, what gives you the right to spend $130 million? Where am I supposed to get the rest of the money from? So it's a modification, but it needs to be in place. Social Security. All the people that say that, yeah, I'm going to sign an agreement, I'm not going to touch it, I actually consider this to be a pretty easy fix to fix Social Security. You can raise the taxable wage pay gap a little bit. You can gradually raise the retirement eligibility age. You can revise the benefit structure based on income. So if you're incredibly wealthy, you don't need to collect Social Security. So maybe you can factor something in there that's based upon your income. And have supplemental retirement savings account. I believe people should take care of themselves and provide for their own retirement too. So there can be some balance between all of those. But I'm going to tell you, I've been to many countries. In Italy, when they try to put in austerity plans and try to cut expenses and raise the cost of tuition, all the students protested. They call it Stop Everything Day. They blocked post offices, government agencies, and streets. In France, they all rioted in France. In England, they threw rocks at the prince's car and broke the window because they wanted to raise retirement age. It's not that, even though it's easy mathematically, it's not that easy. And we have to remember that senior citizens vote. So nobody wants to offend them. So as soon as you tell them I want to raise the retirement age, they're like, I'm going to throw you out of office. What they want to do is they want to raise it just by 2 years over a 10-year period. I mean, to me, just raise it 2 years, but nobody will ever do it that way. We're all living longer. Start Social Security 2 years later and run the numbers, see if it works. But it doesn't get done. Healthcare. Have a basic level of health coverage. No more this blank check that you can do whatever you want. Let's just say our government will provide a safety net of X amount of dollars or for these services. And let's have service for performance, payment for performance, not payment for the amount of services. Because if I'm paying you for services, of course you're going to let the services run up. You make money by providing more X-rays, MRIs, and everything else. But is the patient getting better? Is the outcome any better? Let's make our payments based on outcome instead of the number of services that you provide. And this last one, this is going to be a hard one for people. Phase out the tax exclusion for the health care. That's the one that, you get health care provided in work, you're not paying any taxes on. That's a benefit. You should be paying taxes on it. Maybe. Figure out, is that the way? Remember, that number was about $700 billion. If you did that, you can take care of a big chunk of this deficit. You're going to take off everybody in the country, though. Medicare, Medicaid, same type of thing. This one I can tell you of all. If we can't fix Social Security, we'll never fix Medicaid. And they're struggling fixing Social Security. This is the biggest driver killing our budget right now, is Medicare and Medicaid. It should be needs-based and several other factors. So I'm jumping through these things because I want you to ask me questions. Taxes, reform individual income tax, corporate tax, determine income level where no income tax is paid. Is it right that less than 50% pay zero? Is it? You have to make decisions. I'm going to leave this up, but it's all going to be in your slides. It's other areas where you can get information. Like I tell everyone now, thank God for Justice Scalia. I heard his quote and I said, wow, that's perfect. I tell everyone, this is my opinion, and as Justice Scalia says, this is my opinion, and it happens to be correct. So you should look at these numbers. You can challenge any of them you want. They're all based on audited data from the federal government. And we've basically summarized it, analyzed it, and presented to you, because if our government doesn't fix this, we will be the next Brazil. So all I want to say to you in closing before you ask me questions, you can ask me whatever you want, and I can fill in more gaps. But I'm going to talk to you about state and local government if you don't have questions yourself about this, is that, you know, Martin Luther King said every day was Judgment Day, and every day we're writing in our book of life. My question to everyone is, what is it that you're writing in your book of life? What role are you playing to help our government? Now, you can go to council meetings, you can go talk to when people come in and they have debates, you can stand up in the back of the room, you can go to the website, take any one of these slides, and challenge people, ask them questions. They're your future leaders, ask them, what are you going to do to solve this problem? What are you going to do so we don't pass this debt on to our children? How do you plan on solving it? I want to know ahead of time. And when someone says, I sign an agreement that I won't raise taxes, or I sign an agreement I won't touch Social Security or Medicare, I say, do you know that there's a deficit in both of those? And how do you plan on addressing that? I'd love to see their response, because I bet you some of them don't even know there is a deficit, and they're out there running on it. So we need to challenge them. And if you think about it, use that same sense you have in your family, that same sense you have in your business, and apply that logic to government. The same logic should apply. But we have to remember there's certain services that a government provides that we would never want business to provide. I would not want our United States government run by companies, although if you look at the number of contractors, it's pretty much run by companies. But I don't want a mercenary government where the people just decide for pay which country they're going to be loyal to. I want one that's loyal to us. I want a police department and a fire department that is our police department and fire department, not someone who's running in the corporate world. Because there are services that government has to provide that a business cannot provide because you can't make money on it. But there's many government services that businesses can provide at a much cheaper, more efficient manner than our government does. So I'm going to end with that on the government side, then I'll give you a little bit about the state. But anybody have questions on the federal? Yes, sir.
Since the public seems to believe that they should get free stuff, and how do you go about getting them to understand that they can't keep getting this stuff, as I call it, for nothing, since the government can't afford to keep giving them the free stuff. Yet, if you look at the polls, you would say they're basically saying, I want free stuff, and I don't want to have to pay for it, and I don't want to worry about it, and I'm not worried about my kids. So my question is, how do I help convince the rest of those people who think they're going to get free stuff that they won't, and they need to change their attitude?
Excellent. I've pretty much spent the last 10 years of my career dealing with exactly that. You know, I can get them to this point, the presentation, and give them all information. We can get to the point how to fix it. Like that one, the slide, healthcare, paying taxes and all of that, then everyone pulls away. Ernie, you know, do the extra tax on that other person or this group. Tax businesses more. So they'll stop giving money to foreign governments. It's because they don't understand the finance of it. Like I showed you on that slide, we don't save much by not giving money to foreign countries. So to answer your question directly, what we've tried to do is, number one, I tell everyone there's the federal deficits, trade deficits, structural deficits, but the biggest one of all is the leadership deficit. And part of a leadership deficit is, what I try to do my whole career is have courageous conversations. That's telling people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And understand there's going to be a backlash. And understand, make sure you have the facts. Because everyone's going to use a red herring and point you in a different direction that your facts are wrong because of X, Y, and Z. So do your homework, do your research, present the facts. Transparency is a very overused word today, but it's important. As the Auditor General, I always said, I testified all the time, our reports put light on the subject, light would create heat, and heat would cause action. That's what our reports did. And that's what we have to do. You have to understand that if you go out and you educate people about this and show them the facts that it is unsustainable, cannot go on. The golden goose is dying. Maybe you have to take a large egg instead of a jumbo egg, and you'll still get something. But we all know we have a prime example. You can point to our state. The city of Central Falls went bankrupt. Before they went bankrupt, if you took the annual required contribution of their pension plan, it was 60% of the total tax levy. So when you started your first day of the new year, 60% of the total levy went for paying past costs that were unfunded. And you only had 40% to put the policeman on the street, the teacher in the classroom, and the firefighter in. So you need to explain that to them. Here's the facts. We're blowing it. After the bankruptcy, all the retirees, they got their pensions cut in half. Is that what we want? Do we want some draconian measure? So we have to let them know. Before, there pretty much wasn't any city that went down in our state. There was none. Where this ever happened. And what it did, it got everyone's attention now that this could happen. Because we all believe, I don't know if I said it 5 years ago, but I used as an example, there was a movie, and I forgot the name, I think it was Oh God, it had Burt Reynolds in it. I don't know if you remember, but Burt Reynolds, the opening scene of the movie, Burt Reynolds wants to commit suicide. He's in the middle of the ocean, well, not middle of the ocean, he's out in the ocean, and he doesn't want to live anymore, so he wants to commit suicide. So he goes down in the water, and the bubbles come up, and all of a sudden the bubbles stop. And then in the next frame, Burt Reynolds comes crashing to the sea, to the surface. He changed his mind. He said, God, I want to live. I want to live. Help me make it to shore, and I'll give you 90% of what I make the rest of my life. And as he's getting closer to shore, he says, God, please help me get to shore. I'll give you 50% of what I make the rest of my life. Then it's 40 and 30. Right before he gets out, he says, I'll give you 10% of what I make the rest of my life. He gets on shore and he goes, God, nobody gets 10%. And I explained that in every hearing I'm at. I said, because we're all dreamers. We all believe that something's going to fall out of the sky and solve our problem tomorrow. It's not coming. We have to fix it ourselves. And we have to let everyone understand that no one's going to come and save the United States. We have to do it ourselves. And you know what? The leadership deficit comes back to this. I have to stand in front of you and give you this message. And I can tell you, I'm running for governor in 2014 in Rhode Island. This message is not going to play well with everybody. It could be my Achilles heel. But to me, I'm going there to try to fix the problem and tell the truth. There needs to be more people who put their career on the line that you could actually lose. And I hope I'm dead wrong, but as you already know, I was here 5 years ago, and it's worse today than it was 5 years ago. If they don't fix it 5 years from now, we might be like Greece. They can say the sky's falling, but there's empirical data showing we're in the wrong direction. And to answer your question fully, we'll never be able to get 100% of the people to believe us. You essentially got to go for getting at least 51% of the people to believe you and let you stick to your plan to solve the problem. And we can get there. Because if we try to get 100%, well, you all better put as much money away for your retirement as possible because the government's just not going to do it. And so my advice to you is you still should put a lot of money away from retirement because I don't have tremendous confidence that they will fix it in the manner it has to be fixed. Because we tend to delay and delay and delay, hoping some great thing will happen. I started to give you such a dismal approach, but we have to be upfront, give them the numbers, tell them, here's all my work papers. You don't think I'm an expert? You go pick whoever you think your expert is. Here's the data, run the numbers, you'll see yourself. We need to do that. We have to remember, some of those people that want everything for nothing don't have the ability to run those numbers. But since I'm running for office, I'm going in the communities, and even in some of those communities, they're saying to me, Ernie, our government's destroying our kids because they're giving them too much and taking away an incentive for them to get jobs and do other things. So I think all of us have an understanding that's there, but we want progress without change. It's hard to change a mindset, is what I'm saying. Sorry for the long answer, but I spent 10 years and I can't get people to want to move forward on it.